welcome to a Dander Through My Life. I'm David Scott and we're here in the village of Ballinamallard in County Fermanagh, and we're going to have a chat with Lord Elliott of Ballinamallard. Well, Tom, maybe I should say Baron Elliott of Ballinamallard now, but it's Tom Elliott that is the man I know. But you're in your home territory here, Tom. And what was it like for you? I suppose I'm intrigued a bit about your background. What was life for you growing up here in the townland of Ballinamallard as a young boy?
You know, first of all, it is Tom, and I'm not into the pomp and ceremony much, you know, as you well know, and I just like to be referred to as Tom around here, and indeed, I got a wee bit of a ticking off the first time that we got registered as Lord Elliott of Ballinamallard in Westminster, because they came back and they said you should always sign your name now or refer to yourself as Lord Elliott. So I just signed the email back to them as Tom. So I got a wee bit of a ticking off, but anyway, that was fine. But look, I suppose growing up here in Ballinamallard and around the village is a world away from London. It's even a world away from Belfast and the cities. The rural life was totally different, easy going. Grew up on a family farm. I went to school locally in Ballinamallard village in the primary school. Then there was a secondary school in Ballinamallard at that time, so I went there. I suppose I took the easy way out and I left as soon as I was 16. I was never a great academic. It never bothered me much. I was concentrating on the farm. Really, farming and football were my two passions.
And what was it like growing up, Tom? You know, what was family like?
Well, I suppose, again, I should say easy going. Never any pressure. Mother and father run the family farm. I had three older siblings, two sisters and a brother, older.
Well, as a young fella growing up on the farm, was farming your destiny? Were you just focused on solely being a farmer?
It was. Farming was my destiny, and that's what I was looking at. Clearly, one of my teachers at school tried to encourage me to come back and do further exams and maybe try to get into university. Another teacher said, well, look, if you are going to home to farm, please at least do a trade, take a trade on, be an electrician or a joiner or a plumber. But I was just focused on the farm and went to Enniskillen and Agricultural College as soon as I left the Duke of Westminster High School. And again, that I was interested, you know, did very well at it because I liked it. It's something I was interested in. And again, they had a football team. So it was great. I had the best of both worlds. The only difficulty of the football team, when you took 2 hours off to play a match, someone else had to cover your farm duties on the college, and you had to make that up to them, maybe at a weekend or another evening that they wanted to do.
And what was the attraction to politics? How did you get involved? Did it just happen, or?
It happened by accident more than anything, because I was a neighbour, Warren Lone, who was a former county grand master of the Orange as well, and from the village. He had been a councillor for some time and had retired, and he didn't call with me, he stopped and was chatting to me one day, and he said, look, Tom, we always run 3 candidates in the Ulster Unionist Party in this DEA, and he said, we have 2 sitting councillors, the third one usually doesn't get elected. We had a third candidate selected, but they've withdrawn, and we're only 6 or 8 weeks out from the election. Would you stand? And he says, I have to be honest, the chances of you getting elected is probably limited, but we like to have that extra candidate just in case. So I told him, talk to my wife and talk to the family, and I said, why not give it a go? It's a one-off. So I give it a go, only lost by about 60 votes, and I suppose I got the bug. I enjoyed it.
Well, I can't help but think about Ballinamallard Football Club. We're sitting here in the stand now, but Ballinamallard Football Club is very close to your heart, Tom.
It is, and actually when I started playing football I didn't play for Ballinamallard because I was going to school at Cash, and a couple of the teachers there were very involved in Cash Football Club, as was my brother George. So I started off playing for a couple of seasons at Cash. Then when I joined UDR, a lot of the UDR team were playing from Maguire's Bridge. So I played for them for a couple of seasons and had a really good time there. Got to the final of the local Mulhern Cup. But then the pressure was always on to come back to Ballinamallard. So yeah, I came back to Ballinamallard and played for them for a number of seasons until I got a couple of two very bad injuries. One my knee, and then I got a badly broken leg, and never played seriously after. I would have played a bit of for the reserves, but never played seriously after that. And my brother was big into football as well, so I suppose that's how I got the bug for that as well. And He played a lot when he was younger. My older sister, actually, Thelma, was 16 when she moved to London. Actually, she went for a summer job, her and a friend. They had enrolled in what we called the technical college, Enniskillen and Technical College at that time for September. And she went off to London at the beginning of July for a bit of summer work and never came home. And made her life there and worked for the same company from that till she retired quite recently, John Lewis Partnership. And she loved it there, whereas I was totally different. I didn't like the city life.
But you play a very active role here in the club.
Yes, and then I got involved, I suppose, back in the early 2000s again, back with, well, I was always coming to the matches, but I got more involved with the committee. And I suppose since about 2006, 2007, I got more involved with the committee and then started doing work for them, and then became chairman almost 7 years ago, and I've been chairman since. I enjoy it. It's very intense, I do have to say, and a bit of a struggle and a challenge at times, especially financially, when you see how other clubs can raise, I'm not saying raise funds, but they have people who maybe are involved or loosely involved with the club who have done well in business terms and put significant money in. But anyway, look, as I say, you can only do what you can do, and we go out of our way to try and make our sponsors welcome, and those people that are good to the club, we try to support them.
So Tom, we're here in your home turf, as it were, in Ballinamallard Football Club. You've been here for a while, you've been a player here, but currently chairman.
Yes, currently chairman for about 7 years now, and I suppose I played for a few years here, as I said, and the difficulty is, I think the chairmanship is one of the most difficult positions because there's always pressure we're a semi-professional club,
Yeah.
so you have to bring players in. It's not all a local based club that we would have had 20 years ago. So it is challenging and difficult, but look, it is for every other club, I'm sure, as well.
So
we just get on with it.
The club is about 50-year-old, you were telling me earlier, but there's always been something around football in this locality for beyond 50 years. Is that fair to say?
Yes, the early part of the century, last century, there were actually two clubs in Ballinamallard. There was Ballinamallard Reds and the Ballinamallard Blues, but there has always been a club that played here. And my father, often heard him talk, well he was never a great football fan, his father was, and he often heard his father tell about go to matches, and he supported the team at the other side of the village, which plays where the old high school was. But there was always a club based here until the early 1960s, and it went out of business, folded for about 13 years, and in 1975 it was revived again by a group of locals.
But it's a very privileged and honoured role that you have here as chairman, because you have the oversight of, I'm sure, a first team, reserve team, and others. How many in total would you be involved with here in terms of local football? How many young people and heads of people would be involved?
The senior club here incorporates the first, which plays in the Irish League Championship, and the reserves, which plays in Fermanagh and Western, and then the under-18s, which plays in the Northern Ireland Football League. So the senior club's responsible for those three teams. Then we have a youth section, which have a number of teams that play in a number of different competitions and leagues, mainly national leagues throughout Northern Ireland. So we have about 80 probably on the books of those three senior teams. But once you go to the youth section, there's about 300 young people. Wow. Here, and every Saturday morning our Fisher Park, which is a 3G facility just behind the fence here, it's a real buzz from 9 o'clock in the morning to 12:30. It's just buzzing, huge amount of kids. We have a number of different sessions with them, boys, girls, but I have to say we couldn't operate it if it wasn't for the volunteers and the coaches. They're amazing.
But you must be immensely proud if you come here on a Saturday or midweek game, when you're able to stand here as chairman of the club and just get a sense of you're playing a very active role in the local community.
Well, that's right. It isn't, but it's not just the club. The club is part of it, but it's the wider community as well. Whether that's going to a wee function in the primary school, whether it's going to the church on Sunday, or one of their activities, or going to my local lodges, that all gives me great privilege almost. And as you say, proud. I am proud of what's here. I'm proud of what has been built here, and I think of the generations before me and the people that came before me. I think of those dozen people or so that reformed this club in 1975, a number of them still about, and I talk to them regularly, and we're now planning for that 50-year celebration of the reforming of the club, and those people that are still about that reformed it, I hope will be a very central part of it. And I suppose I didn't go looking for all this, David. It sort of came to me, but you have to be there to take it on as well, The first time I ran was 1997, and then I got elected in 2001, and then there was, and again, sometimes it's about opportunities. There came an opportunity up in 2003 to run for the Assembly. Now, I was only 2 years a councillor. You'd have liked probably a few more years to then run for the Assembly, but the opportunity was there, and I suppose I thought, if I don't go for this opportunity, maybe it'll be another 20 years before it comes up again. So I ran for that and got it, and I retained my seat as a councillor for 9 years, which was really enjoyable. I have to say I enjoyed the council, and it was all about doing deals between us and other parties, and particularly I have to say the SDLP. I was leader of the Ulster Unionist group for a period, and John O'Kane was leader of the SDLP, and we'd done a number of deals that were really good and beneficial for the community and for many.
Is there any big project that sticks in your mind that you think that was a really, really good thing to do?
Maybe not so big, David. Actually, smaller projects, and I'll give you an example or two. One was where the Queen Elizabeth Road in Enniskillen, and being the Queen Elizabeth Road, you'll appreciate that there was one party wanted to get the name changed, and they were doing a major renovation on the road. It runs up alongside the River Erin, so they're doing a major scheme on it with boulevards running out into the river and fountains in the river. Really nice scheme. So one party wanted to get that changed, the name. So John O'Kane and I talked about it, and we came up with a resolution that we would retain the name of the Queen Elizabeth Road, but the three wee boulevards that went out into the river, we would name them in English, Irish and Ulster-Scots. And that would probably, hopefully, satisfy the wider society, and that's what we did. And that was one thing I always felt, was good by working in partnership.
And did you ever, in that period of your life, between home life, farming life, school life, did you ever think you'd be into politics?
Never. Never my wildest dream at that stage did I think I'd be involved in politics. And I think probably the Troubles were always an issue that I was interested in. And I was interested in politics, the constitutional issue and that, yes, I was always interested, but never thought I would get involved the way I did at all. So the family, yes, it was a very close family, and I suppose a large extended family. Both my father's family and my mother's family were all quite close by, and a quite extended family, so you were always having cousins or uncles or aunts visit, or you popped into their house. And at that time, there was no such thing as saying, oh, I'll be over to your house tomorrow night. You just stopped by. And nowadays if you call at someone's house and they open the door, they nearly say, what are you looking for? Whereas then it was just a natural thing to do. You called at the house and you spent an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and that was life.
But you must be immensely proud, Tom. Like your roots are here in Ballinamallard. You're born, you're reared, you're raised here. Now, not only have you been councillor, MLA, you've got the very honourable title now of Lord Elliott of Ballinamallard. You must be incredibly proud of your achievements, but they obviously have to be proud of you as well.
Yes, and it's not about me. It's actually about the community, and I suppose anything I do, I've never did it for myself. I'm not that type of person. Never asked to be given a peerage, and I suppose maybe that's what makes it slightly more impressive to me, is that I didn't ask for it. Somebody felt that it was right to put my name forward. Others felt it right to do it. But look, it's a community award to me, And as you say, my roots are here in Ballinamallard. I went to school here, go to church here. I live here, lived in the same house from when I was born, except it has had a few renovations. But having said that, it's just I feel part of the community, and I hope the community feel that I'm part of it as well. And that's how life is, and the football club is just another part of it, the same as my Orange Lodge, my Black Lodge, my church. They're all part of the local community.
So Tom, here in Ballinamallard, the fast flowing river here behind us, but this is your home patch, this is where you grew up, this is the village where you went to school and all the rest of it. It's also close by to your local lodge and church life as well. And I suppose you could be classified now as a famous son of Ballinamallard, but there are others, aren't there?
Yeah, I don't know whether I'd be called a famous son or not, but yes, it's my home patch. It's the centre of activity for me, centre of the universe probably for me, just the same as everybody else's local villages for them. So yes, but there are other people. Rupert Kipling actually is a son of Ballinamallard, and a very famous person, and you know, sometimes maybe the village and the history group, maybe we just don't make enough of that, but yes, and obviously you have the Fisher family as well. That built the famous Fisher Engineering Works. It's now owned by Severfield, and unfortunately Bertie Fisher, who was then managing director, was killed in a tragic accident, and but his family are still about here, and other members of his family. But yes, and my local lodge is just out the road. I'm in the local district Orange here, the local Royal Black institution here, so yeah. All of that's within the village area.
What is it like growing up here, Tom, in Ballinamallard? What is your memories of Ballinamallard village in comparison to what you know it to be today as Lord Elliott?
Yeah, well, in those days, obviously your church Sunday school was centred almost to your activities during the week. So the church put on various activities for young people as well, the badminton and individual aspects. Then we had a local youth club. No youth club in the village here now. I don't know in many places there's no youth club, but the youth club was the hive of activity of young people. There were no computer games at that stage to keep people, young people in the house, but I remember every Monday and Wednesday night there was youth club, very well attended, a lot of activities. You had your pool, your snooker, your darts, your table tennis, indoor football. All of those activities were taking part in the local village, and that's what it was like growing up. It's different now. You know, those type of activities are much less, and young people, I suppose, concentrate on, I suppose, maybe they do concentrate on more studies, but computer games seem to have taken over, and social media.
Whenever I think about your life and your achievements, from the farming life to the life of a councillor to an MLA to the benches of the House of Commons, now in the House of Lords, and you've always, your heart's in Ballinamallard. When you sit in the benches of the House of Lords, do you reminisce much? Do you think about, do you ever pinch yourself and think, how did this ever happen? What do you think about? Do you still bat for Ballinamallard when you're there in London?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I suppose Ballinammallard's still the heart of me. It's still the heart of my life. It's still the heart of my community. And I will always think of Ballinamallard when I'm sitting in the House of the Lords. I'm thinking, number one, how did I get there? Why am I there? And I'm there because of the community. And I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the community activity. So there's no point in getting into the Westminster bubble. You have to always bring yourself back to earth and think, well, look, I'm here because of the Ballinamallard community, I'm here because of the Fermanagh community, and because of Northern Ireland society. And look, it's a great honour for me to be there, and you just think to yourself, well, look, what can I say or do here that'll improve the lives of people in Ballinamallard, or in Fermanagh, or in Northern Ireland?
Certainly, just closing that point, Tom, the loyal orders play an important role in your life too, because I know you're a member of the Orange institution, the Royal Black Preceptory locally, and I think as well the Apprentice Boys of Derry. And what do you think about those organisations? How close are they to you and your role here in the local community?
Well, I suppose what I look on them as is as a community organisation, and what we've focused very much on here is I suppose telling people the history of the organisations, telling people the history of the areas, and the charity work that we do. Do a huge amount of charity work locally and raise funds for charitable organisations. And doesn't matter, what background that organisation's from. We still present them with the money, and that's one of the focuses on it to me. And that's what's of significance to me, is that huge amount of charity work and community service that they provide.
What an amazing building, Tom. Margaret Cross Parish Church. Your home parish church. You're born and raised here. I'm assuming you were baptised here.
That's right.
I don't want to ask the year, mind you.
Yeah, I was baptised here and confirmed here. Didn't get married here. Now, Anne was from a different parish in Fermanagh, and we got married in it. But since then, we've been regular worshippers here. I was church warden for a few years here. I was in the select vestry for a period of time. So yes, home parish, and as you say, David, the building's lovely, beautiful building. But church is more of it than just the building. It's about the fellowship. It's about the Christian belief and what you do with that. So I think it's more than just the building. But yes, the building does help, and it's attractive, and obviously it's been here for a couple of 100 years, and the regulars here I think do appreciate it, but they also appreciate what they get from it as well.
And looking around the building, Tom, I can see a clear evidence of the Elliott name have been here for generations. And how far does that go back? Are you able to tell?
Yeah, there's been Elliots on the register here from the 1700s in this parish, but I don't know whether they're all my connection of Elliots. I just haven't looked into that in detail. I know some people have carried out family trees here, but I haven't. But look, I suppose that doesn't really matter. It's important that they've been here for generations, but it's what they do in those times. I think you have to try to leave a legacy for the people that come after you, and so that's important as well. But it's vital that people don't lose faith in the church and in the community.
What's your fondest memory of life here in church life, Tom, in this parish? Have you a particular memory?
I suppose it's difficult to focus down on one particular memory maybe in the church. It's just been that evolving aspect of your interest in the church. But I do genuinely fondly remember the times at Sunday school, and at that time Sunday school was before church, so you waited on for church, and it was that mix between your own peers and your own age group, and then coming to church and seeing how the more senior people in the church managed life. But I suppose one of the things has been the evolution of more involvement of other people. When I was growing up, the church was very much led and run by a very small group of what we would have called senior people in the church. But now it's much more widespread, and it's much more a community church that I feel, and there's much more involvement from people out in the wider community and not just that small group. And I think that has been very important to me and very important to the wider community here.
So Tom, what really does put a smile on your face at the end of the day?
Well, I suppose I like to have a smile on my face most of the time, but like when Ballinamallard United Football Club win a match, it puts a smile on my face. Whenever I come in here to church and have a conversation with the people around me about various things in life, it usually puts a smile on my face. Whenever I go to my Orange Lodge and have a conversation about past times and what has maybe just happened. And I have to say, family life, it's great to call in with my mother. She just lives across the field from me, and she's 92 years old. And every time you go in there, she's always something to tell you that I think to myself, how did you ever hear that? And I wouldn't have heard it. But anyway, that all puts a smile on my face to hear how active she is and how well. And anything like it's the same as anybody else. Anything the family does is always puts a smile on your face whenever you think of how they're doing and how well they're doing. And I have to say, just when you're sitting in the House of Lords and pinch yourself, as you asked me, it puts a smile on your face to think, how did Tom Elliott get here? And I suppose that's what this programme has did for me. It has actually made me think about that I wouldn't normally do, is think about how did I get here, that journey. And even the title, The Dander Through Your Life, you know, and it's amazing to think that, you know, when I was playing football or going to school or going to Sunday school here, and you end up in the House of Lords and what has been in between. It's amazing.
Well, Tom, thank you for allowing us to
Not at all.
take a wee dander through your life. It's been a great privilege and pleasure, and thank you.
Not at all. It's a pleasure to me. Thank you, David.